years at least, right? You know,
What's
but
up, everybody? Dares Per Second Podcast, episode 199. One, not, dog, listen, I didn't think I would make it to 149 with slow mo. But guess what? We did because
Mm.
slow mo's amazing. And I just talk a lot of junk, and he can see right through my pittiness every once in a while. But yeah, 199. So it's gonna be a great show. Amazing, happy to have everybody here. We also have one of our amazing special guests that we are going to introduce soon, that's always down to come on and chop it up with us and have fun. But first I want to talk to the man, the myth, the legend, the man of many slaps, the man that never ever lets us down when it comes to fighting with people on Twitter from time to time, the homie Slumbo Backslap. What's going on, bro? How you been and what's been up with you?
It is. It's been a day. For certain, it's been a day. But I'm here, and I can't really complain. So I'm going to really enjoy getting to discuss these topics with cool people like you two gentlemen, in our illustrious chat, and we're gonna get it going, man. It's gonna be a good show.
Right, definitely, man. I really appreciate you and everything that you do for the show. And excuse me, but I also appreciate this
Okay,
other
do you have us
amazing
muted?
gentleman. No, I don't. Why you say that?
Because Arcade said want to make sure he's not muted. Mike was hot to start, but heard nothing.
Oh, because you guys were talking and I didn't want to unmute you until
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I
y'all
just
were
want to make sure
yeah, no,
that.
no, no, no.
Yeah.
You're good now. But also want to introduce the homie, the man that's probably been on here just as much as anybody else, Ramon Terrell. You know, Hallmark, actor of the year, makes amazing books, has a lot of other good things coming up in the future that we definitely make sure that we need to support him on. But bro, what's been up with you, man, and how you been?
hey, how's it going, guys? Thank you so much for having me on again. I love coming on the show. Hey to the chat. Hope everybody's doing well, and I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. As like to say, I'm doing it like yesterday. Hopefully a little better,
Mm,
and just getting it done. Trying to enjoy some games, and autumn is here. The trees are turning colors. The cold and the rain is about to show up.
man, it hit today when I
Well,
walked
well,
outside.
Freddie Andrews. Yeah. I just wanted to just like thank you for coming on once again, because
Freddie
you're
Andrews.
yeah,
Pretty
Freddie Andrews. You know where I got that from?
You finally
Uh,
found.
I think it's that. I think it was when we were talking about one of those shows, and I couldn't
The one
remember.
that your wife, yeah, the one that you were arguing with that kid in the jail with. I already knew where
No,
this
no,
was
no,
Oh
no,
going.
yeah,
no. That's School Spirits on Netflix. Check it out and see Ramon Terrell. And like I think episodes like 2 or 3 or something. But no, Freddie Andrews was your character name in A Christmas Miracle for Daisy.
A Christmas Miracle for Daisy.
You don't even remember doing this movie.
Man, this man,
Do you
this.
know how many hallmarks are called a Christmas miracle for something?
I'm just gonna be randomly calling you like names of characters you've played. Just just letting you know, Grant. Okay.
Oh man, no, here we go.
All right, Officer Campbell. Anyway, so look, no, I'm glad, I'm glad to have you once again,
Officer.
man.
Yeah. So while
Always a
we're
pleasure.
so while we're on you, sir, I just went ahead and decided to say, you know what? We spend the first 20 to 30 minutes of an episode anyway, just talking about what we've been playing. So let's just make it a topic week to week so we can actually cross it off. So first topic is Ramon Terrell. I'm going to you first. What you been playing, man? And what's been up? Well, we already said what's up with you for the week, but what games you been playing lately?
Well, I am currently playing Returnal on PC. I initially played it day one on PS5, and it inched out Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart for my game of the year it came out, and I'm playing it again now on PC. Shout out to PMS Jordan on Twitter because the lead up to me getting my PC, and I promise I won't get long winded, but I saw her post some photos of Returnal, on PC, and I'm looking at it and like, you know how like in the cartoons when their eyes get the pupils of the eyes get real big?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, my eyes did that, and I'm like, "That's what it looks like?" And then I'm going to work, and I'm talking to a friend of mine who's a PC gamer, and then I start talking to you, Slow Mo, but that photo was the beginning of the end for me. So, and then over the summer during the Steam sale, I went ahead and got Returnal on PC. So I'm playing that, and it is, man,
I'm
it
about
is
to install that
absolutely
game right
just
now, bro. I'm installing it
it's
now on Steam.
incredible. Oh, it's incredible. It's just incredible. Like the ray tracing effects are amazing. I'm playing it at 1440p, everything maxed out, and I'm getting like a right around 100 frames. And it is buttery smooth. Occasional, traversal stutter, but I mean it's nothing egregious. But it's absolutely just stellar. So I'm having a great time with that. I only play one game at a time, so that's the only thing that I'm playing currently. After I finish that, however, and I might just get it tomorrow anyway, there's a little indie I want to shout out called Europa. And the developer, I can't remember what big AAA studio he worked for. He used to work at, but he's been saying that he quit that job in order to make this game. So I'm really hoping people support this game because it looks really nice. It's charming. There's no combat. It's exploration, and the world looks beautiful, like almost like watercolors. So Europa, I believe it's on console as well as PC. So guys, just go give it a look and give this guy some support because he really put himself out
Cool.
there.
Cool.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I see it here on Steam. Yeah, Europa, I see it. Cool, man. Well, thanks for sharing that. So, Slow Mo, you did a lot of streams this week. Tell me what your
Yeah.
experience. Tell me what your
So
experience in gaming has been over the course of the last week.
so shout out to everyone who came through the stream. We played through Until Dawn remake, and that's up on the channel. All three streams. Played it through, beat it. It was Until Dawn, so it's pretty good. Some had some issues here and there. Had to restart the game a few times, had a few bugs that were outstanding. I don't think it was quite ready for launch, but it was still a good time and we had a good stream regardless. At least I felt like we had a good stream regardless. If you've seen it, you will probably know for certain whether I'm exaggerating or not. But I did that. I also played this little indie game called Indica and or Indica. I don't quite know how to pronounce it, but it came out earlier this year. Made some noise when it came out because it was somewhat controversial. So it's about a nun who she's a young woman. She's a nun, and she's like kind of possessed. Like she has like this demon that talks to her and makes her hallucinate and all kinds of other things. And I didn't quite know, like I bought it when it first came out, and I just never got a chance to play it until this week. It's not very long, maybe like 5 6 hour game, but it's kind of like it's one of those narrative driven games with puzzles. So again, this one is kind of like what as Frank Poole said with Europa, there's no combat in it. There's no combat in this one, but the story, the writing is really
Frank
good, and
Poole.
it's got a very yes, Frank, and it's got a very interesting ending, very controversial. That like I see why it was making the rounds with people discussing it because it really tackles religion, faith, um, and some really some things that happen in the game are just very like very few games will go there, and but I think it was handled in a tasteful way. But it was a very interesting game. It's definitely worth a look. It's not like a full price game or anything. It's worth a look if you're interested, and it's available on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation. But the other thing I did this week was so I this is more of a test. I very rarely want to play my games when I'm sitting in the family room with the big TV. I'm usually just watching TV there. Watching either sports or I'm watching like a movie or something. But I had this idea and I was like, I kind of want to stream my games there because just occasionally I would want to play a game or something, but I didn't feel like going back into my office where my gaming PC is, and I'm in there from for the majority of the day with work. I don't feel like going in there at that time. So what I did was I bought an Nvidia Shield and I installed Moonlight, a program called Moonlight on it. And then on my PC, I installed another program called Sunshine. And when you use them together, it allows you to do, I mean, extremely low latency streaming from one PC to what typically a lot of people use this in a dual PC setup, streaming from one PC to another. I've seen big streamers talk about it and actually show it in action, and it's seamless, and it was really easy to set up. So I've been playing around with that. I actually put out a tweet about it last night. I played a little rogue company, and my thing with streaming anything has always, when it comes to competitive games, I'm very sensitive to latency and very sensitive to responsiveness. And I don't typically don't play competitive games on, like, even not even on GeForce Now, where GeForce Now is the best cloud streaming in the business, hands down. And I still won't play anything competitive on that because I'm just really sensitive to um when I shoot my gun, I want the shot to go immediately. And uh this Sunshine the Moonlight setup was extremely responsive. I was bodying people in Road Company. Played some Final Fantasy 16. Had no issues in combat. Played what else? I played Cyberpunk, which is really hard to run in general. And in 4K, I'm streaming it. That's a lot of bandwidth being used. That's a lot of data going back and forth, and it's all using your home network. And I got Wi-Fi 6E, so it was fine. It was great, and there everything worked good. So that's just what I've been doing, testing around with things and playing, trying to clear out as many games as possible before some of these other big games show up, like tomorrow, Metaphor, ReFantazio. Uh, Part of the reason why I was beating games this week is clearing space on my SSD to install that. So yeah.
SSD. Love it.
No it.
All right, shout out to you, bro. Yeah, your streams were hilarious. Not only were you not only you doing God's work playing that game, you were actually on there being super. I mean, you're always entertaining, but man, you was up there lying half the time. He was like, I ain't jump. That ain't jump. He's like, y'all jumping. I was like, man, Slow-Mo over here jumping. Got hiccups and stuff because stuff coming out of places. Not like he ain't played this game before, but they did add some little twists and stuff to it. But it was really entertaining watching you play that game. And I think it's not that people, because everybody kept saying, when's the next stream? When's the next this? I just think you just do really good at it, or you do it very well, and people just gravitate to that because it was good, man. I definitely got to give you your flowers on how great you were when you were streaming. But
Oh, well, thank you. And since you brought that up, we did run a poll, and in that poll there were a few suggestions for
Silent Hill
games.
2.
Silent Hill 2. Someone, this is like Jan Watkins on the channel, the YouTube channel,
Mhm.
said The Last of Us.
Yeah, that would be good.
Um,
That would be a good one to play through.
I saw a
yeah,
whole bunch
there's
of people that said Blood Omen also. Probably like
no,
700-800
no,
people.
that was definitely
I
not
did I did see Blood
what
Omen.
happened.
I did see a couple people say something about Dead Space 2 or Dead Space 1, I should say.
I saw the most
Yeah, I
people
don't
for Blood
recall
Omen.
any of that.
People
Oh no,
kept
no.
saying, "What's the next horror game?" That was what everybody was asking.
Blood Omen can be
Yeah,
considered horror.
no, no. I don't think that. I
Such
don't, I
a
don't know what you're talking about.
such a baby.
Yeah, but no, there was a Rodimus suggested all you need is help, which looks like some kind of puzzle co-op puzzle game. Um, if it's cooperative and me and Forte need to work together, that's going to be a disaster. But no, like Alien
No, it wouldn't.
Isolation,
Man, that's gonna be
Outlast One.
Alien Isolation.
Um,
I would love to watch you
see,
play that.
I would love not to. Um,
He would
I
never come out. He would never come out of one of those closets when the aliens around.
Yeah, look, Outlast. I don't like games where you don't even get a weapon. Like if it's a like I can sometimes deal with Resident Evil if they give you enough ammo, then I'm great, right?
Oh, you
But
don't you
just
want to fight back?
yeah, I mean, just running. You just running and hiding in Outlast. Like, all you have is like a camera or something. Like I'll
Yeah.
watch somebody else do that. Me, I'm good.
You
I'm
actually
good.
do get a
No,
weapon towards the well, never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, but we'll figure it out. We
We'll
will
cross
figure it
that
out.
bridge. We'll cross that bridge when it comes. Shout out to Alien
I did
Isolation 2 getting announced.
I did want to finish um screaming Shattered Space, Starfield Shattered Space, but so I was so bored. But
That is so disheartening, man. I had high
God
um
hopes.
dang, I was
I
so
had high hopes.
bored.
it's it's not terrible. I was just bored. I'll probably finish it soon. But then there's also this game I want to stream it because I played the demo and I was like, yo, this is actually pretty interesting. It's called Slay the Princess. Have you guys heard of that?
I have heard of it.
I don't think I've heard of that.
It's Slay the Princess is one. It's kind of like I think not the Talos principle. There's a game where the narrator plays a huge role in it, and the narrator will like tell you, like he'll be narrating everything you're doing and then kind of criticizing you at the same time. I'm gonna look up there because I own the game through Epic, and I'm just about to find it. But this game is kind of like that, where the narrator has like a huge role in it, and he's telling you you need to slay the princess. If you don't slaying the princess will save the world, and he won't tell you why it will save the world, but he's like, trust me, bro. And then there is this other voice, the voice of the hero, that's questioning the narrator, but like the whole time you are the one that are making the decisions on what to do, and it's a very simple game, but every decision that you make has consequences, and then it kind of just goes from there, and then you start to kind of wonder, like, is the narrator lying to me? And the princess is scary. Like she's there's something not right with this woman. She's just something
Oh
not right
man,
with her.
I'm
So
looking at it on Steam, and yeah, she look a little off.
yes, it's really good though. And just off the demo, I wouldn't bought the game. So I want to stream it because I want people to kind of like see it and experience it and see what they think. I'm trying to find this game that this definitely draw. It wouldn't surprise me if the developer of this game also made Slay the Princess, but um, dang, I just can't find it. But it's pretty good, and I probably will stream it soon because I every time I look at my PC, I see the icon on my desktop, and I'm like, I want to play it, but then I want to stream it. So well, those are just some things that I'm thinking about doing outside of just what people want me to stream, which seems to be just nothing but horror games for some odd reason. The Stanley Parable, that's what it's called.
Hmm.
That's the name. If you've ever played the Stanley Parable, it's similar to that, where the narrator's funny, and the narrator is like, if you do the same thing over and over and over again, like the narrator will be like, and the player is an idiot who keeps running into
And
the
the
wall. Like
player's an idiot.
yeah, he'll just say things like that, and you just think that, like, man, how many lines of dialogue is in this game? It's crazy. So, um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. we'll
Yeah, that actually looks fun. I'm gonna put that on my wish list. Thank you.
Yeah,
yeah, no problem.
cool. Well, awesome. Well, for myself, play some Halo Infinite just because Halo was in the news, and I was like, you know what? Let me go. I haven't played Halo since I had my 4090, so I popped it in and tried out some campaign and tried out some PvP, and I was like, oh, this it's actually good. It was always good to me after they fixed everything, but that's not the point. They just they should have made sure it was like that day one instead of making people wait. But so I was playing that. Of course, NCAA. That's kind of just been living on that, for like the last month. Been playing that, and then in general, just that's about it. Play a couple of other what is the name of that game? It was a game that Arada missed. Now I downloaded the demo for that, and I just ain't get a chance to play it. I was gonna play it today, but I messed around and forgot that we had parent teacher conference, and when you're off, you just get lazy. You didn't want to do anything, so I was like, so I'm gonna go. I go with the parent teacher conference earlier today, and then did some yard work because I'm a fiend for my yard and want to make sure it looks good for Halloween. But outside of that, that was probably pretty much it. But with that being said, let's jump into our real first topic or second topic. Red Dead Redemption, and I see on here I put two, and that's just by habit. Red Dead Redemption is coming to PC October 29th. Now, Red Dead 2 has been on PC for about 4 years at this point. So it's kind of crazy how long it took them to get this.
Unreal.
It's kind of crazy how long it took them to get Red Dead on PC. So I will go to you, Slomo. What was your thoughts as soon as you saw that the announcement trailer for Red Dead was coming to PC? And are you going to pick it up when it comes out?
My initial thought was meh, and am I going to pick it up? I don't know. So like for me, this is like Red Dead 1. I respect how people feel it's an awesome game, and some of the people who played it back when it was brand new also played Red Dead 2 and felt Red Dead 1 was better. I thoroughly enjoyed Red Dead 2, even though I thought the gunplay, the gun controls were outdated because they kind of just kept what they had been doing with GTA. But my my uh my experience with Red Dead 1 is not the best because so when Red Dead 1 came out, when it was brand new, I bought it. And I played maybe up to maybe about a good hour before I ended up starting to play Borderlands. And you can probably see where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
I played
yeah.
Borderlands for years and I didn't play anything else.
Yeah.
I think maybe Dragon Age I was playing around that time period, but like I just never went back to Red Dead 1. And by the time like I finally got Borderlands out of my system, we were all on the Xbox One and PS4 generation, and I owned the game on Xbox 360. And I just like when they made it backwards compatible for Xbox, I was like, oh yeah, well I own that. I could play it again. And I picked it up, and they had it in native 4K because it was super easy to run. And I stopped at the same exact spot I stopped the first time I played it. And so I don't know
So you never
what
beat
it
it.
is about the game. No, no, not even close. I'm not even like halfway through it or a quarter of the
Wow.
way through it. And so I know there are a lot of things that people mention, and I don't mind spoilers because the game's super old.
Right.
So people have spoken about like how the epilogue of Red Dead 2, because it's a prequel to Red Dead 1, is like basically the prologue of Red Dead 1. And I had already kind of knew some of the cliff notes of the bigger story beats from Red Dead 1 anyway, just over years kind of like hearing things and understanding it. So I'm not worried about that. It's just that for s- for some reason I just couldn't get into it. And it kind of reminds me of kind of how I feel about The Witcher 3, where I recognize The Witcher 3 is a great RPG because a lot of people say it's a great RPG and they really enjoyed it and they played it, multiple times the way I'll play like some of the old school BioWare RPGs multiple times, or the way I'll play through the Halo campaigns multiple times or whatever, right? But it ain't for me. Like The Witcher 3, it's like halfway through the Red Baron quest line, I just quit. I just I just can't play. And then people be like, "Oh, but the Blood and Wine DLC, amazing. Oh, look, they got the best expansions." And I'm like, I own all that. I own the expansions. I own the base game. And every time I've tried to play it, I always get frustrated with the combat and I say, I'm done. And so I don't know if Red Dead's quite like that for me, but I just think some games resonate with people, and then some games don't resonate with people. And I don't like to force it. Like I don't like to force myself to play a game I'm not enjoying. So will I play Red Dead 1 on PC? I think it really depends on how well the port is, because the last time Rockstar did a port, it was abysmal. That GTA trilogy port they did, where they outsourced it to a couple of kids in their garage or something, like they
I
did
never
a
laughed so
terrible
hard in my
job.
life.
It was laughable about how bad it was, how bad the visuals were. The fact that modders on PC had taken the original games and made them look better than what this remaster or remake was supposed to be. And I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. Like this is terrible. So if it's that level of bad or that level of quality, it's definitely a huge skip for me. If they actually did put some time into it and make it like, really look much better than, the dated visuals that it currently has, and I don't know, maybe I'll get it on a sale and give it, a third try to get through. But it's not anything that's like pressing for me, especially this month where so many games that I'm looking forward to are coming out this month, and I just don't have the available bandwidth to take on a surprise game that we didn't even know was going to be coming out like a month ago.
Yeah, I agree with that. What about you, Ramon? What was your thoughts, and are you gonna pick it up and play it?
So the only thing that would, well, if it turns out good, insta buy. Absolutely. I still have it on disc on my PS3. It's one of the handful of games that I still own my PS3 for. The only thing that would deter me is like what Slow Mo said. If it turns out to be a GTA, what was it, the GTA remasters, then it would be a skip. However, I did watch. I don't know if you're familiar with Daniel Owen on
Yes, we
YouTube.
Hmm.
are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I watched he covered it in one of his videos, and he showed how, the draw distances are better. There's better like, the grass and fields and texture details and stuff like that are better. So, he went over that and it looks like they did a good job. So all that's left for me is to, because like, shout out to Eric Jackson. Me and Eric Jackson say it all the time. We're team day one ish. So,
Well, So
no reason
so
to
before I
pre-order it.
say, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Officer Campbell, but
Uh-huh.
before I say,
Officer
the trailer
Campbell.
you're showing is the remake
Yes,
on PC.
yes.
Okay, so why they got all the upscalers available for this? This don't look like it does not look like you need high-end hardware to run this natively. Like
No.
this
Oh,
this
that's the
this
weird
could
thing. That's
be
the weird thing.
TAA, native resolution, max settings, and you'll be getting high frame rates off of this. Like, why did they were bragging about having DLSS 3.7, all the latest versions of all the upscalers frame generation. What the fuck? What do
You
you
can
need frame
only
generation
you can
for?
only shine
Dude,
For
up a
this?
you can only shine a
slow mo.
you can only shine a turd so much without actually going in and make textures look better.
Right,
Dude,
like they,
check check.
this doesn't look like they actually updated very much a lot of what the original game was. This looks like more of a straight port to PC for a game that never been there.
Right.
But yeah,
That's where it gets weird, slow mo, because Daniel Owen in his video, he showed the recommended specs, and he showed the recommended specs for Red Dead Redemption 2 and and this one. The
hmm
recommended specs for this one are higher than Red Dead 2.
What?
Like, how do it
that's
was the weirdest
scary.
thing. Yeah, he was like, I don't know why. He's like, it doesn't make much sense. And it's
And
not
Red
like,
Dead
the
2
recommended like
on
a
PC
because
looks better than most games out right now.
you're
It
absolutely
looks
right. That's why it's so weird.
so
Like
so
they just
so
didn't
this
bother
might
to
be
like
I'm about to go look it up on Steam now because I want to see if there's a developer listed that's not Rockstar. Because that would
mm,
say this was actually this was actually outsourced to a support studio or to support the Double 11 is the developer in conjunction with
okay.
Rockstar Games. Double 11
Mm,
has worked on Minecraft Dungeons, Prison Architect, basically a lot of indie looking kind of titles. Prison Architect 2. Um, they've they have worked on a lot of indie games or indie looking kind of games. Interesting. Yeah,
It's gonna be
I'm
interesting.
gonna have to. I don't know. I'm not going to prejudge it because I haven't like seen more than what this trailer is showing. I just remember
That's all they
the
showed.
announcement, right? And
Yep.
I remember the announcement on Twitter. I remember the announcement of all the upscalers. And when I saw that they had all those upscalers, I was like, oh, so they might actually really have like got a splintered off a section of their devs or maybe an entire team at Rockstar and had them do this port to PC. But nah, it looks like they outsourced this to Double 11. And if that's the case, then I mean, you're
Cross your
not
fingers.
getting Rockstar quality. The reason why
Yeah.
Red Dead 2 looks dramatically better than this with less specs is that Rockstar is a S tier studio. And
Yep.
when they make games, they change the game. They change how game design works and they really kind of redefine how everything in the market goes. And we didn't see that with GTA Trilogy Remaster, and
Nope.
I'm really not seeing that with. I mean, I wouldn't expect them to redefine a game that's like over a decade old, but just we've seen great remakes. Like that game is old enough to be remade, not remastered. At
Yeah.
some point in time, you
Yeah, I
gotta like
agree.
a remaster ain't enough. It needs to be remade, and not everyone is suited to do remakes well. So yeah, I just
And it's
find that a
really
little
weird.
fascinating.
It's this weird thing where stuff that could go with a remaster instead of a remake, or stuff that needs a remake gets a remaster, and stuff that doesn't need a remaster gets a remaster. But,
Yeah,
Mm.
but yeah, if it runs well and everything is kosher, then I will absolutely get it because then that's one more game that escapes my PS3. So yeah, if it all runs well, like I said, team day one ish. If it runs well and everything is kosher, then yeah, I will absolutely get it because I would love to be able to, you know, play it at you know, triple digit frames and higher resolution and all of that good stuff. So we'll just see how it turns out and keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah. So I'm kind of in the same boat as both of you. The only difference is I refuse to buy this game. When I saw it, I'm happy that it's coming for the people that never experienced it. Because there's definitely PC gamers that haven't played Red Dead 1 because they don't have consoles. So for those people, I'm absolutely happy that they're going to get a chance to play it. But it's an amazing game. I definitely always try to, make a great effort at finishing all the Rockstar games. Haven't missed one so far. I want to sneak the last one I didn't beat outside of those the trilogy remaster that they did was, I think, I can't even remember. It's been so long. I think it was the DLC, the DLC for 4. I didn't finish that. But for the most part, it's more of I just don't see a reason to replay this game. Like, as a person that had experienced it once already and know the story of Martian and stuff like that, I just don't care at
Did
this
you just
point.
call that man
John,
Martian?
I was about
Marston.
to say that.
Yeah, Marsh. What did I
You
call him?
definitely
Martian.
called him. You called him
Martian.
Martian.
I did call him Martian. Yeah.
John Martian.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, Martian. That's what the game
Okay,
looks
wait,
like on PC.
not to
A
cut
Martian.
not to cut you off, Forte, but
No, go
I
ahead.
got it right here. I got it right here. So, Red Dead Redemption 2 recommended specs: Nvidia GeForce GTX 1060. Right
Yep.
now, Red Dead Redemption Remaster recommended specs: Nvidia RTX 2070.
Yeah, they tripping. This thing could run on a 1080.
Like, yeah. So
It's
that's just
it's
weird.
it's
I just, yeah.
and
I just
part
got
of
my
it.
fingers crossed at this
Well, no,
point.
and part of it is it's like it's like, okay, and if I want to be 100% for real on it, it's like I don't see a reason to. It's like so elitist to say this, but it's like at a certain point, I feel like if you're going to play a remaster or a remaster, I feel like the remaster, especially a game this old, shouldn't be like you said, Slumbo, shouldn't be remastered, should have been remade. And I definitely feel like it at least should, like, somewhat. I'm not saying it needs to look like Red Dead 2, but can we get in the ballpark? It's something like that will make me kind of play it again, because at that point I feel like I'm not wasting, the energy that my 4090 will expense to do it. So that's just the kind of how I look at, like, how rematch. Now, if it's a brand new game, like, I'm never going to put that on indie games or anything, like, because indie games, those are newer games and different experiences, and you're buying them for the experience and you're not really buying them for the graphics, even knowing a lot of indie games have amazing graphics nowadays. So it's really, really cool. And some of those games really push the envelope when it comes to, like, what your graphics card can put out. But when you're talking about an older game, and if we're going down this road of remasters and stuff like that, or remakes, can they at least be significantly better than what the original was? When I saw the trailer for this, I was like, okay, it looks like they did like a 4K upscaler and, kind of took the film grain away and made the draw distance a little bit better in the game. But the texture quality looks the same. Like, like I always tell people, like, you can run at 1440p and have high texture qualities and the game could look amazing. It could look better than a game at a native 4K with just bad texture quality. And that's what this game is. It's like, I would have rather them touch up the textures in the game than just bump it to 4K, even knowing it was 4K on the Xbox and stuff. So, like you said, this is a game that was outsourced from probably most of the development, for them to basically bring out on PC, and it was probably if we're generous, 80% port of what the original game was, with 20% added to, like, some of the touch-ups they did that had nothing to do with the, texture quality or graphics in the game. Because the game looks the exact, like, when I looked at that trailer, I swear I was looking at the same trailer that Xbox put out when they did the back compat, and they talked about how that game
Yeah.
was going to be in 4K. So I literally, that's what I looked. I said, is this just like you said, is this trailer the one that they showed? That's the same thing I
Yeah.
thought.
I thought you went and found the old like what you're showing right now in the jumbotron. I thought you just found the old trailer of the Xbox version that they put out, because like I never saw Rockstar put out a trailer with the announcement. I just saw the announcement on Twitter and
Yeah.
the statement about, upscalers and stuff. I never saw a trailer, so I just thought you went and just found a trailer from the Xbox version to have something to put up there. But this is the actual PC trailer for the PC version. I'm like, ain't no way in the world you need a 2070 to do anything with this.
Yeah,
You could take
exactly.
a 2070 should
Exactly.
be able to play this 4K 60 minimum with no problem. Just by what way is look, you're looking at far simpler texture work. You're looking at like you're looking at like you're not looking at like complex pixels here. You're looking. This looks like a DX11 game,
Hmm.
and not even DX12. It shouldn't be difficult to run on even a low to mid range PC. So I'm just yeah. I'm
Yep.
it was already going to be a deep sell. I get it later on when things kind of slow down with game releases, kind of thing. But
I'm
it's
Oh
looking
what
yeah,
it
at
is.
exactly.
I'm looking at the
I'm not
body
paying
of that.
$66 for this.
That's what I say. How the amount of money that
It's
I'm
how
looking at
much?
Oh, well,
60.
in Canada, sorry. Up here, it's
Oh, about
$66
this.
on PC.
Say, you ain't lost your
It's
mind. You think
50,
I'm
isn't
paying
it?
that?
It's 50 here, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
I
it's
wouldn't pay
somewhere.
50 for a
No.
remaster of
No.
that's like that
No,
old,
I'm
like
going I'm gonna wait
40.
until I see it for about, like, $20, max $30.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am. Hmm, I don't know about that, but yeah, it is what it is. Shout out to Rockstar. They gonna take some people's money. It's gonna happen.
They're gonna take a lot of people's money.
Yeah, they gonna get some money off this, and guess what? We're still. They done came out with what, two remasters, and we're still waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6 next year, and that's if it
Yeah,
comes out next year.
that GTA remaster trilogy was an embarrassment
Was an
and
embarrassment, bro.
disrespectful to the gaming community, and we saw it sold
It really
incredibly
was.
well,
Right?
so it didn't even matter.
Yeah. All right. So let's move over to Metaphor ReFantazio, and it's a Fantazo or Fantaza. I don't know. How do you pronounce that?
Fantasio.
Fantasio. Okay, cool. I don't. I know we've been talking about this game for the reviews came out. A lot of people were
Mhm.
saying that this game had the opportunity or had the chance to like propel itself into the game of the year conversation, and those reviews definitely they ain't let down. Right now, I didn't look to see what it was recently. Last time I looked, it was like still like 94 or something like that.
It's a
Um,
93 on
93 now.
PS5 with 37 reviews. The reviews are very spread out. PC is at 91 with 22 reviews, and Xbox is 92 with 28 reviews. So they're all in over 90, which is excellent. And it was great, for the developers. We shouldn't use Metacritic to determine whether we play a
Right.
game or not, but that we do have to recognize that having a high Metacritic score puts you in a conversation for certain things like Game of the Year and up award shows, and that really raises the profile of a studio. And I've enjoyed Atlas's games since I played Persona 5 non-royal and spent about 150 plus hours in that, and really enjoyed it. And then when they put Persona 4 Golden on PC, I jumped in there and enjoyed that. And Persona 3 Reload, even though I haven't gone back to it, I still got it installed. But I'm playing through Royal, um, and Persona 3 Reload. Every now and then, their formula is solid. They make turn-based RPGs. They have a good foundation that works for them. And every single Persona game that comes out outperforms critically and commercially the previous one, which, you can only really just give them props for that. They also do the Shin Megami Tensei games, which have been primarily on on the Nintendo platform, but now those are also being multi-platform as well. So like Sega and Atlas have definitely embraced putting their games everywhere. And I think if you're a third-party publisher, that's probably the best for you to do that. Is to put your games everywhere, and because they really had no clue that the PC community was really vibing with the kind of games they made, because when they started putting their games on PC, those games sell very well. Um, that said, Metaphor, I like it. I played the demo, and we talked about this last week, but I'll just quickly reiterate. I like where they're going with it. The brand new IP, so it's not in the universe of Shin Megami Tensei or Persona, but what they're doing in this game compared to their previous games, I really, really like the kind of the evolution of their game design. For example, in Persona 5, you will be walking through or running through a dungeon, and you can kind of like hide uh, up against the wall and then ambush enemies to kind of get into combat. And then, like, if you mess up or if they hit you, then it kind of gives them an advantage over you when you go into the turn-based combat. They've kind of evolved that now to like you don't have to fight all the enemies. If you're significantly stronger than an enemy, you can just almost kind of like an action RPG, just hit, swing your weapon and kill them with one hit. But then the ones that are on your level a little bit more powerful, you have to be careful. You can dodge roll out of the way. You can, you can set it up so basically you do a little hit combo and then hit the Y button to enter into combat, and that will give you an advantage starting in the first round. And that's an evolution of what they had already built. They have in the previous games they have like archetypes or whatever, where there's like a spirit or some kind of presence that uh syncs up with your party members, your cast members of your team. And before, you would go into a dungeon, and let's say if the enemies in that dungeon were weak to fire, then you're bringing on from Persona 5 with you because she's fire based. You would basically bring the people in with you that were important for strategy and and getting through that dungeon, but not necessarily important when it comes to story. And now it's like you got these archetypes, and these archetypes, they have their like there's a mage one, there's a healer one, there's a knight, there's a seeker, and they have their own, and you can pick and choose who to give which party members, which archetypes, which you'll have some that are better at certain abilities than other. If you give mage to scroll, he's not going to do as much damage as if your main character does damage with magic. But the fact that you can kind of switch that stuff up completely changes it. Where now you can go into dungeons and you'll bring people with you because they're the best person for the story and the situation because of who they are and how they interact with what's going on in the story in the world at that time, and not because just because you do ice magic. So it's really good in those areas, and it's I like the fact, and one of my biggest complaints with the previous Atlas games is that all the characters follow the same personalities. These personalities, you'll play one and you'll be able to say, oh, that's just like whoever from the previous Persona game. Like they have the same personality. These characters don't have the same personalities as the previous characters, which already kind of makes the story way more interesting to me. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll be playing it tomorrow. I initially wasn't going to buy it at launch, but then I played the demo and I said, okay, I'll get it a little earlier than I thought I would. But as the week has gone on since I've played the demo,
Mm-hmm.
I have been wanting to play it more and more, and so it got to the point now where I'm definitely playing it tomorrow. Like it's a done deal. I'm playing tomorrow. So um hopefully I beat it before Dragon Age of Veilguard comes out, but I'm
When
looking
does that
forward
come
to it.
out?
And the
Dragon
end of the month,
Age. In a month.
like the 31st.
I
Yeah.
hear this is a long game, bro. You got 30. You got 20
Oh,
days. So
Atlas. Yeah, Atlas games aren't short. They're normally typically pretty long. Um, First time beating Persona 5, it took me 110 hours.
oof.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now afterwards, when you do New Game Plus and you go back in and you got like your companion levels up and everything, it's it's shorter in subsequent playthroughs.
Right.
But yeah, your first time through it normally takes pretty long. But this looks cool. It looks cool. You know, I can't wait to play it. Before Forte, I asked you,
Mm-hmm.
um, if you're going to buy it. I don't think I've heard from our good friend Dr. Lou in regard
Is you
to
just
whether
call?
he's going to play it or
He
not.
just going through the list of all the characters he played and just calling out a name. Oh
So so
man.
so 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 Alan Perkins,
Oh, Alan
what do
Perkins.
you, are you gonna play Metaphor? What are you gonna do?
He
Well,
don't even remember none of
um,
these characters you're talking about, by the
I know
way.
that's why
well,
that's why I find it so funny.
Alan Perkins actually sounds familiar with these freaking names. But,
Alan
um,
Perkins. I mean, where was it? Oh, A Bundle of Trouble is the name
okay,
of
I
the
don't know
TV
that.
movie.
He don't even know
A tea
that.
a
Yeah,
tea garden mystery. You did this 7 years ago.
Tea Garden Mystery. Okay, I definitely remember the Tea Garden Mystery thing. But yeah, my brain is starting to smooth out, so which that means is I can recognize it.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Anyway, henchman number two. Go ahead and tell.
Henchman number two.
That was from Stealth and Silence, the DC comic fan film that you did.
Oh my
Anyway,
god.
Oh
yeah,
man, this is too much.
There's a
what do
really
you think
funny
about
story
Metaphor?
behind that. Um, so I think it looks great. Looks like a lot of fun. All of the feedback I've been seeing about it, including all the things that you just said, make it look like it's just a great game. Unfortunately, I just don't see myself playing it, and the reason is because
It's too long.
it's just so long. Like I played the vanilla Persona 5 and I was exhausted after I was done. It was great. Don't get me wrong. Like I can't think of a moment. I mean, I didn't, I wasn't crazy about Mementos,
I'll say
but like,
Mementos is terrible. If you play Royal, I think you'll like Royal better because they kind of,
yeah, I heard the
even though
yeah, improved
I
on it,
don't
right?
appreciate that they don't just do like them making a Persona 5 Royal where they remix the palaces slash dungeons to make them better. They made Mementos better. They added new characters to kind of flesh out the story. They added a new party member and gave an additional semester on the end. They made the game. Royal is definitely better than regular Persona 5, but the fact that they charged you a whole nother game for it still kind of like
Yeah,
rubs me the wrong way. It's the
yeah, that was
equivalent
messed up.
of CDPR charging you for a cyberpunk 2077 cyber psychosis. Like they just coming up with a different name for it and then charging you full price for a game that should have been like that at launch.
Yeah,
Not saying
yeah,
Persona 5 was broken at launch, it wasn't. But when you make the game better, but it's the same exact game and you expect people to pay full price for it, it just I've never really enjoyed that. My bad. That
yeah.
was a side rant. Go ahead, man.
No, no, no. I totally agree. Which is why, well, I'm not gonna say which is why, but it's one of the reasons why I never got into Royal is because that's even longer. And Persona 5 Vanilla took me 100, I want to say it was like 125 hours. And I was wrung out. Like I was just completely spent after that. And honestly, it's weird though because it's not a 100% thing when it comes to that. Because take The Witcher 3 for instance. I started The Witcher 3 in December of 2023, and I think it was 2023, and I finished it like I think it was March or April of 2024, or maybe it's 1 year prior. But anyway, I started it in a December and I finished it in like a March or April. So that's the only game I played for like several months because I did all the side quests that weren't Gwent, and I did all, both of the DLCs, which were the expansions were amazing. And so clearly that was over 100 hours. I don't remember how many hours it was, but it was clearly over 100 hours. And it wasn't until the very, very, very end. I was just about ready to finish where I was starting to get my typical fatigue where it's like, okay, I'm ready to be finished with this game. I'm ready to, you know, go ahead and take my exit to this world and go into something else. Persona, I enjoyed every minute that I played of it. I enjoyed all of it. Even Mementos, it was still fine. But I was just tired afterwards. Like it was just so much. I think it's because it's just the base game is over 100 hours. Like The Witcher, like, if you wanted to just mainline it, you could finish it in probably like 40 or something like that, 50 hours, something like that. Whereas Persona, like the base story is over 100 hours. So I think that's why it just kind of rang me out.
Yeah,
So
I
as
I
far as
think it was
metaphor,
just maybe like 2 villains and 2 dungeons too many in Persona 5.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it just
it
got
could have been
too
shorter.
long. Yeah, and I hope that's not the case with Metaphor, where you just kinda feel like this is longer than it needs to be. I felt that way about Tales of Arise. I felt like the
Yes.
last 3 hours of Tales of
Well, it was all
Arise was
cutscene.
unnecessary. Yeah, it was all
Well, it
mostly
was
all
all
cutscene,
cutscene.
and it was
Like, I
really
literally had my
like
controller sitting next to me for most of that.
and the way it played out, it was like yeah, let me not go on too many tangents. My bad. Go ahead and continue, Danny De La Vega.
Oh, the Arrow. That was literally I
Oh,
think it
you
was my
remember that
second
one. You
credit
remember
ever.
Arrow. You remember
Yeah.
being on Arrow.
Well, that's because it was the second credit I ever earned, so but, yeah, the dungeons,
What a
I
name,
think it's
Danny
because of the
De La
dungeon.
Vega. Go ahead. My bad. My
Dude,
bad.
if you only knew. They had me I've been sent auditions where my last name was Patel. Now, needless to say, I
No.
didn't book those. Dude, you would be
No.
surprised.
Come
You
on,
would be
Patel.
surprised. Dude, it
Grief.
it just shows that they don't even know what they want half the time when they call you in for an audition. Yeah, I've gotten some stuff that I clearly didn't fit, but my agent was like, "Well, just put it on anyway because you never know." It's like, "Sure." And then when I see the person who booked it, it's like, "That's what I thought." But, there's a thing called we say you're the option, where basically they know what they want, but then they call in the option just in case they want to go a different way. But yeah, I think metaphor is going to be a pass for me only because it's just I don't really have the energy to spend that much time in one game. But it looks fantastic though, so I hope it does well.
Forte,
I feel
you gonna play this?
exhausted. I feel exhausted hearing you even talk about it. you
So
you
that's a
know the
no. All
you know
right.
the no wait, you know the last time I played a game that was even close to not it wasn't even close to this. I put the longest game I play outside of like Destiny where it's co-op and stuff, like single player game, was 63 hours and 29 minutes. You know what year that was? If you want to take a guess at it, or what game it was. 63 hours and 23 minutes. RPG, of course. Square game.
Oh, Final Fantasy 7 remake?
Nope. Oh, it's Final Fantasy 7, but it wasn't the remake.
Oh, okay.
The original one is the last time. Well, because Final Fantasy 7 remake, shoot, what, 30 hours? 30 to 40 hours, basically?
Yeah, if you do everything, you could probably stretch it out to like 40.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's it.
Yeah, even that game wasn't as long as that. But when I beat Final Fantasy, I was exhausted when I beat Final Fantasy 7 original at 63 hours. I was like, yo, this game was long, but God, it was great. I just refuse. It's like it's something different about playing like a live service game where you're playing with other people versus playing a single player game where it's all on you and staying invested in it. Now, the one thing I will say about games like Metaphor and stuff like that, or even Persona, because I did play Persona. I got like 12, 13 hours into it. But the biggest thing about those games is you have to get past that barrier of where you feel like it's like a chore to play, and you get to the part where your characters you start seeing the progression in your characters like power wise, and then you be like, yo, this is actually really cool. And then you start playing the game because it's fun versus playing the game because it's like what you have to do to get to the next stage of the game. And not saying Metaphor is like that because I haven't played it yet. It's just that most of the games like this, it feels like it hooks you in the beginning, but then it's like a certain part of the game where you'll go 10, 15 hours, and it's like the grind
It's
part of the game.
formulaic. It's
Exactly.
formulaic. And I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
see
yeah.
some of that in this game, but I think Metaphor does enough different from Atlas's typical formula that they could probably keep it fresh. So like just in the demo alone, you go from kind of like waking up in this world and not really knowing anything,
Right.
what's going on, who you are. You go to the city, there's a ton of racism going on, which is already kind of, mature theme stuff. Um, there's this mystery where there's like these monsters, these big monsters that are very devastating, but they call them humans. And it's interesting because like your main character, I forgot the kind of race he comes from, but they're very hated for whatever unknown reason. And you got these people with the goat horns on their head,
Hmm.
and they kind of are the rulers of the main city that you start at. But there's a lot of Game of Thrones stuff going on where there's like royalty being assassinated, and you're trying to kind of like politicking, trying to figure out who could be the best ruler, and those kind of things. It's very different than what they have Atlas, that is, have done in previous games. And even then, like before the demo was over, they huge plot twist. There's a floating head in the sky. It's just so much stuff going on. I'm not going to explain about the floating head, but there's so much going on there. And I know it was just a demo, but they kept it fresh enough. And I think they were confident enough in the product that they made that they were fine giving you a very robust demo because they knew it was high quality.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ramos. I know humans are monsters because you can see them, they're monsters, but they call them
Hmm.
humans, and we are humans. And so it just seems like there's something else going on there because even these monsters have some human like features to them. And so I guess there seems to be a deeper mystery there that you don't really uncover until you play the full game.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's definitely a game that was on the radar. It still may be there. It just mostly comes down to time because you start thinking about all the other stuff that comes out around it. Call it like this is the thing for me. I know I'm not gonna beat this game before Call of Duty comes out on the 25th.
Oh no, I probably wouldn't either.
Yeah, so it's like in a game like this, you got to be invested in it. I feel because what happens is for most people, you like Ramon does it the right way. Like he'll play a game, and not saying any way is the wrong way, but to me, it's the right way. Especially when it comes to games like this, you play that game and you finish it, then you move on to the next thing. Because
Try that, and
if
I
you,
can't.
because if you
I just
take, well, I know you can't. I'm just saying, but games like this, it's like if you take 2, 3 weeks off, it's like you'll jump back into the game and you may
hard to come
remember.
back.
It's hard to come back, bro. And I already know once Call of Duty comes out, we're gonna jump on that. We're gonna spend probably a good 2-3 weeks consistently on there. And then that's gonna be like our jump back and forth game. But then we're gonna be talking about, then think about this. Then you got Veilguard coming out at the right after that. So if you don't finish it before Call of Duty, you kind of got to like look at it like, not saying it wasn't a waste of money, because like you said, you're experiencing what you experience,
I
but
mean, the thing is that you always own it, though.
yeah, yeah,
You can
you can
always
always
go
go.
back
But
to it.
how many games do you have in your catalog that you say you're gonna go back to and you
Yes,
never
it can be
did?
hard to go
What,
back.
what I mean, that's true. And I eventually you gotta sit or get off the pot. And like for example, that game in Indica that I
Uh-huh.
mentioned at the beginning, I bought that like in spring of this year and then played it this week. Like I just kept it installed and it sat there and the icon staring at me on my desktop for months until I finally said, let me knock these games out. And I got Trials of Mana up there. I got I actually started, I forgot to say this. I started Octopath Traveler 2 and I'm really liking it
Did you play
a
the first
lot.
one?
I did. I didn't finish it though. I kind of only played the beginning of the first one and never got back to
Man,
it.
it's so
Excuse
good.
me, but Traveler
It's so
2 is
good.
really good.
It is. It
And I'm
is. It's
enjoying.
really good.
Doing the Throne storyline, and it's really dope so far. But this is Octopath Traveler 2. I bought that day one. It showed up on PC. So like I just I get it that like yeah, there's a lot of people that have a lot of games that just sit on their storage or on their PC or whatever or on their consoles and never play them. But I think this is probably the why I'm fine with jumping around and playing a lot of games, because when I say I'm going back to a game, I really mean it. That I will
Hmm.
go back to that game.
No, I believe you.
I
I
used
believe you.
I used to have a formula that has evolved since uh, Steam became a thing in summer and winter sales. I used to would buy one game and I would not buy another game until I finished it. And that's how I eventually killed my entire backlog. Year before last year before last, something like that. But anyway, I buckled. I was like, all right, not buying anything else. With rare exceptions until I finished what I got. So I finished all my games, and I'd only buy a game after I finished it. But then when Steam sales and Green Man and CD Keys and Fanatical showed up and GOG occasionally. So now I buy a handful of games during the sales, and then with rare exception, I'll, like if something's like $5, I might get it. But I don't buy anything else until I finish all of those. And by the time I finish all of those, the next season sale is showing up. So it's like, you're always within the rotation of the sales, because by the time you finish everything you bought, more stuff's on sale.
Let me tell you about Dr. Lou over here, okay? Dr. Lou, at least twice a week, it'd be like,
Not twice a
slow
week.
mo. Oh, slow mo. X game is only $8 on Fanatical. I don't know what I did. Tell me not to buy this. And I just be like, dude, you go ahead and buy it. You know you want to. Just buy it, man. You
I
right, I'm
don't
gonna buy it. I'm buying
always.
it'd be slow. This game's only $30. And I'm just like, how do you see I'm not looking. So I don't see
See,
all
that's
the
what I used to stop
sales
looking.
all the time. You
I
be
need to
just
stop looking.
looking for trouble and then be like, why can't I stop buying games? And I'm like, cause you got Green Man Gaming as a bookmark on your PC. And
Well, the
you
other
just
thing too
you
is I get their emails, so that doesn't help.
oh yeah, I had to put them on spam. They're just too much.
Yeah,
All
yeah, I
right.
get those
Well,
emails, and I'm like, it's bad out here.
all right, let's move on to the next topic. Let's talk about Nvidia RTX 5090. Rumors have it that it's probably most likely going to get announced and released alongside CES 2025. Also, on top of that, they're saying that there's a good chance, rumors are saying that the 5080 will be more powerful than a 4090. Now, there's a lot of stuff to unpack here when it comes to Nvidia. And in fact, the fact that they got a 5070 that's rumored to have only 12 gigs of VRAM when most games are pushing close to 16 now. Oh man, it's kind of crazy out here. But I want to
Yeah, look, man,
go ahead.
we need to keep it. We need to
Keep-
keep it a buck. Nvidia is just playing in people's faces at this point.
yes, they are, bro.
They
It's
they are
ridiculous.
they
It's
are they're just like, what you gonna do? Buy AMD?
AMD
You
don't
ain't
even
buying
want you.
AMD.
AMD don't
Yeah.
even want you to buy AMD.
Yeah, like we know you're not going to AMD, so don't complain about our prices because you're going to buy them. They're basically daring you to go to their competitors, especially now considering that AMD has chosen not to compete on the high end GPU cards. Now they're just like, oh, we're definitely going to go ham now. The 5080 traditionally, well, the 80 series traditionally, since they started making 90 series on each generation, the 80s, or typically what is the second highest card is no, I'm sorry, the 70s, the mid range one is always half of what the flagship card is. So if the flagship card has a certain number of CUDA cores, um, a certain level of performance, the 70 series, that one is going to be half of what the flagship card is. Now, the 5080 is half of what the 5090 is. And that's just like, yeah, we haven't seen the cards yet. So you can say, well, slow mo, we don't know quite for certain, but based off of what the specs are and what the specs normally are, we can, a lot of people have done the analysis to kind of determine how this is going to play out. Pricing wise, we've had some leaks on pricings, which we don't know for certain are true. And then even the people who leaked them said, "Oh, this is subject to change." So, whenever people say that, I just decide to just like, all right, well, thanks, but no thanks. But,
Right.
which I mean, it some of that is true, and it's not. I'm not saying, I'm not dismissing people's leaks and that what the information they got wasn't accurate, but if it's subject to change, then I just take it as it's probably going to change. But
Mm-hmm.
there's talk of the 5090 being up to $2,500, which, if you kind of see how Nvidia has been moving, that's not shocking. Their flagship card every generation
They're gonna
is
keep that card for that price.
significantly, yeah, right. But they are higher than any other GPU previously for their flagship card every generation. And then the 5080 kind of adopts what the previous flagship cards, the 80 series kind of adopts whatever the previous flagship card's price was. So there's talk that the 5080 be somewhere between like 14 and 1600 or something like that. And it's just, they just keep raising the prices and then sectioning off features and keeping those features exclusive to their new generation of GPUs to create artificial value.
That's
Like
the
they
most
did that with
egregious part of it, man.
they did that with the 4000 series. So the 4000 series had DLSS 3.0, which was significantly better than DLSS 2.0. And it also had the frame generation. They were the first ones to do frame generation. And so this, interjecting frames from the GPU into the game, this, in addition, this allowed people to like turn on ray tracing. Like really use ray tracing, not just for a screenshot or just to see what it looks like for 30 seconds before you turn it back off, but to actually play games in ray tracing. And that was a selling point for the 4000 series cards. And they used some very interesting language to insinuate that it just wasn't possible to use DLSS 3.0 and frame generation on the previous generation cards. And then what happened like a year later or a little bit close to a year later? DLSS 3.5 available on the 3000 and 2000 series cars. If you have RTX car, it's available there. And it's
I think I
just,
actually saw where a modder put the later DLSS onto a game.
yeah, there's a modder out there that for a lot of the games where AMD was paying for exclusivity and they wouldn't allow DLSS on there, he was going in and putting modding DLSS into those games. I think he got a little bit of a big head and started trying to get paid for it, but which people were like, "Yeah, we ain't paying you, buddy." But um, I think I think just when it comes down to it is that they delayed this to CES 2025. CES is always in January, right?
Yeah, every January.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so that's not too far away. They just like initially they were talking about launching this month or November, and then they just delayed it a couple of months, likely due to them quite not quite. I think it is true they don't quite know what pricing they wanna do for this, how badly they wanna overcharge everybody. But at some point, the market has to respond. The market has to respond with a no to this stuff. You gotta put your foot down. And if they really come out, I thought, I've always said it, that I thought the 5090 would be at minimum $2,000. And then all the partner cards,
Uh,
typically the Nvidia's Founders Edition, their reference card is the MSRP that they set, and then all the other cards that have like different overclocks and some of them are water cooled and stuff like that. They'll have their own pricing, but they never go below MSRP. I thought by minimum it would be the 59 would be $2,000. Um, and there are people out there that every year they got the 3090, they got the 4090, they're gonna get the 5090. But at some point, like y'all gotta understand that Nvidia is just basically robbing you right in front of your face.
Fleecing you.
Just
Yep.
you going into your pocket, taking your wallet out, taking all your cards and your cash out of your wallet, and just throwing your wallet back in your face.
No, they're
You're
using
allowing it to happen.
no, they're using it to buy Jensen another leather jacket.
I mean, yeah, he probably got a closet of leather jackets. He don't even wear the same. He probably just throw it away after you wear it one time. He got that much
Uh-huh.
money,
Yep,
and it's
every
just
keynote.
at some point,
He makes it into a blanket for his dog.
yeah.
God
And
damn.
before I'm done and you guys can speak, I want to address that Nvidia tried this already with the 4080. Remember initially when they launched two 4080s, they launched a
Mhm.
12 gigabyte 4080 and a 16 gigabyte 4080. But the 12 gigabyte 4080 was not a real 4080. Now, if you're going to launch two of the same model and just say, here's the 12 gigabyte one, and here's the 16 gigabyte one, clearly everyone's insinuation is that they are the exact same chip, the exact same performance. One just has 12 gigs and the other one has 16. So if you feel like you don't need 16 gigs, you can buy that 12 gig one and you're good. But no, that's not what they did. The chipset for the 12 gig 4080 was essentially the same. I forgot what they called it. It was like AD 103 or something like that. Whatever it was, it's the same as the 4070. And that's when everyone knew that's a whole completely different card. And then the more they looked into it, the performance of it was nowhere close to the performance of the 16 gig 4080. And the gaming community got together, collectively told NVIDIA to go F itself, and NVIDIA unlaunched that card. They later on reintroduced it as the 4070 Ti Super, but the gaming community got NVIDIA the blink. And they got to do that again this time because the pricing of how they're doing these things, if the leak specs are true, that 5080 I don't see how that 5080 is any kind of upgrade over the 4090, as they're claiming. And if they try to claim that so that they could price it like a 4090, then you know why they said that. And the community has to come together at some point and just be like, nah, fam. Just, and look, I got a 4080 Super. I don't need an upgrade, and I'm not going to. To answer Rodimus' question, I'm not buying a 5080. I would, if it was appropriately priced, I wouldn't buy a 5080. But you know, from what the rumors are, I'm definitely not buying a 50 anything. I'm not trying to upgrade my GPU until another 2-3 years from now, and then I'll see how the market's looking then. But this is, you know, Nvidia's feeling themselves because they got 88% of the market. Intel has 0%, and their biggest competition only got 12% and is already laid on his back and showed his belly. They about to go ham, and it's like the gaming community needs to respond. Well, you may have a massive monopoly, but we ain't playing that nonsense over here. Won't happen, but I'm just saying it needs to happen.
Wow. What about you, Ramon?
Man.
Where are you sitting at on this?
I'm sitting in an interesting position because my rig is great. It's I mean, contrary to popular belief, and what it started off with me asking slow mo, and after getting a comforting answer, going and doing my own homework to find out for myself, so I can say confidently, contrary to popular belief, my rig is in fact quite a good deal more powerful than the PS5 Pro. So that being said, I'm sitting
Hold on.
in the upper mid tier with a 4070. So I'm technically I'm good, and quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if the 5070 is beyond negligibly better than my card, but we'll see. But if I was to think about upgrading, I would not get a 5080 because that just seems like a waste of money. The 5090 is gonna have to take out a freaking second mortgage, but if I did upgrade, I would want to do it to the point where I wouldn't have to think about it for like 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, and so
Right.
I'm kind of in that middle spot where if I decide to hold tight, I could probably be fine. I really don't see any games coming out that are going to push so hard in the next 5 years that suddenly, I'm having to turn off, all ray tracing if I want to get above 60 frames. I just don't see that. So I could righteously probably wait out to the 60 series and then think about what I want to do. But if the opportunity presented itself and I could either like swipe a 4090 for a good price, or I say, you know what, I'm just gonna go balls to the wall. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
build just this super rig, spend a ridiculous amount of money that's just ridiculous, but I won't have to worry about it for another 10 or 15 years. Then I might think about doing it. But for right now, I mean, whatever it costs down there, it's like I can eat. It's probably going to be, given the 4090 prices up here, the 5090 is probably going to end up being between 2500 and 3K. So I would have to have an extraordinary financial situation fall in my lap for me to even think about that. So as for right now, I'm just going to hold what I got. And I'm actually very happy with what I have right now anyway.
It's real. So I'm not in a pickle when it comes to what I want to do with this. Like my goal initially was just to hold on for 5090, and then slow mo showed me a showed me a founders edition for $1,000 that got me interested, and we almost bought it right then and there. And then I started thinking, it's like, yeah, you know what? I might as well just go and get a 4090. The 5090, yeah, it would be better, but the 40, it's not like the 4090 is going to be so outclassed. And then when I could get one for a really decent price, like pretty much at retail, that kind of helped too. So I'm kind of back on my regular scheduled programming when it came to how I want to act when I get GPUs, because everything kind of got thrown off when my 1080 Ti took a crap on me. It forced me to, because I was willing to wait until the 3000 series came out, because the 20 series was like, okay, it's decent, it's good. It was like the first iteration of ray tracing, so I was like, I really don't care about ray tracing because it hurts your performance more than anything. So I was willing to skip the 20 series and then go straight to the 30. But since my 1080 Ti went out, it made me upgrade because I didn't have a backup GPU like I normally would have, and I went and got a 2080 Super. And then prices was kind of out of whack, and I was able to get a 3070 Ti. So I kind of upgraded twice in one generation, which is something I don't want to do. So I ended up with this 4090 now. Now I'm in a situation where I feel like I don't have to get a 5090. I can just wait. If anything, I could just wait till 60, the 6 series comes out, and do that. And in the way Nvidia works, that's like 2, 3, no more than 4 years from now. And that gives me a really good enough time to kind of just, get as much out of my 4090 as possible. It will probably be it'll be the key. It'll be the card I would keep long term, just to say if something goes wrong with my new one, I always have something to fall back on, because that's like the worst thing in the world. I'll just put it in a backup PC until and let my kids or something use it until something happens with mine, and I probably just have to confiscate it from that PC. But for the most part, I'm just looking like 5090. Yeah, that's going to be a beast. I do have the warranty through Micro Center where I can literally turn this boy back in and get $1,700 right back on the gift card. If something happens to it, that's always a possibility, but that possibility wouldn't happen until we get pretty much just like I did with this generation. It'll be towards the end of the 50 generation, which is 2 to 3 years from now. And then I will probably get a 5090 and just say, oh, okay, I'll just wait on a 6090. It may be something like that. But, a day one adopter, especially at these prices, like the biggest thing that I really want to see Nvidia do is what they did with the 3000 series and come out with some competitive pricing. Like, people were shocked when they saw that a 3080 was $800? And the 3090 was 12, people were shocked when that happened. Like, that's the reason that generation blew up as much as it did, because Nvidia didn't cuck everybody at the very beginning of it. But man, that changed. That changed massively with the 4090 series, so with the 40 series. So I just, especially with them not having any type of competition on the high end, they're going to have it at the mid. You got to think, if they're going to have competition in the mid, why would they price their graphics cards any lower than what they are, especially when they got the middle tier pretty much sewn up when it comes to like
Well, I don't think they got the middle tier sewn up. In pure rasterization, AMD kind of beats them in the middle tier.
No, I'm not saying like
frequently.
sewn up like that. I'm just saying, but the market share, they have the market
Oh
share
yeah,
in the mid.
yeah. AMD
Yeah.
don't sell, so
Yeah, they
that's the
don't
problem.
sell. See, that's the thing. Yeah. So when it comes to performance and power, dollar to performance and everything, I feel like AMD still shines better in the mid tier. But when it comes to like what people want, Nvidia is not going to make a move on their mid tier.
Because people act like, you guys just Nvidia fanboys, not us, but just in PC gamers in general. You're just Nvidia fanboys. They don't. You say you want competition, but then you don't buy AMD. And look, and I get that. If you were someone who don't care about, you're been team ray tracing is a gimmick, ray tracing is unnecessary. I don't like fake frames, so I don't like frame generation.
Yep.
If you're on that camp, then why, and you're not a content creator, why would you not have AMD? And there's enough people, I see those arguments enough that I don't understand why, and I know that seems somewhat anecdotal, but I just don't see why they only have 12% of the market. It doesn't make sense to me. Now, the reason why people choose Nvidia is that Nvidia are trendsetters. When they first talked about ray tracing, people was like, yeah, we don't need that. And when they first implemented it with the 2000 series, RTX 2000 cards, it wasn't good. And all it did was tank performance. And that didn't work. But then they created DLSS. They started doing machine learning, AI-driven upscaling. And previously, before that, we would get like dynamic resolutions, which you still see on consoles. You would get checkerboard rendering that kind of like gets you up to like a fake 4K.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing is better than this method of upscaling at the moment. And what I'm trying to relay is this trend where Nvidia introduces new things to the market. They introduce these things.
Right.
They introduce frame generation. They keep introducing things on the tools for. They were the first ones to add AV1 encoders to allow content creators to stream at higher resolutions and higher frame rates, and it not destroy your bandwidth, or destroy, like when you're recording, having to have so much storage available for higher resolution recordings. They are doing all these things. What is AMD doing?
Following behind them.
Following behind them poorly. FSR is the worst upscaler. They have the worst ray tracing. AMD never leads. You are in a distant second place. And instead of saying, let's get with our engineers and come up with and try to come up with something new. And if we can't, let's steal their engineers, pay them whatever possible, and have them come up with something new for us to differentiate us from Nvidia. Because as of right now, talking about, hey, turn the upscaling off, turn the ray tracing off, turn the frame gen off. Hey, we beat them by like 5 or 10 frames on average. That's not how people play games no more. What's the reality of it? Even the people who claim, I don't turn on that stuff, they're lying. They're all lying. They're liars. This is the reason why AMD made FSR freeware for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Because they knew them dudes on the 1000 series cards and the old RX cards were struggling. Everybody is using upscaling now. And if you don't believe me, look at what's happening in the market. Developers are releasing games with the upscalers in mind. They're expecting you to play it with upscaling. And so the game is optimized for you to have it, play it with DLSS on, or FSR, or XESS. And when it comes to innovation, Intel is doing more with Intel Mon and Performance Mon and showing GPU delay, something that we didn't even really know what was going on. Intel, even Intel in the GPU arena is doing more than what AMD is doing. AMD cannot gain any ground on Nvidia until they start doing things that Nvidia isn't doing. And until then, they're always going to be that I guess I'll buy an AMD card. Or people just rooting for them and rooting for other people to buy AMD so that it looks like real competition and Nvidia lowers their prices. But people aren't
And there's
seriously
another
moving on from Nvidia. They won't. Go ahead, man.
Well, there's another piece to this as well, and that's ease of use. Like, I remember when I was building my PC and I was asking you about AMD, and you were asking me like, you know, how important is ray tracing to you? How important is this? And I'm like, if I'm going to spend all of this money and step out of the console space to spend all this money, I want the bells and whistles. I want all of it. And so I spent the extra money, for Nvidia, even though AMD had an equivalent card that was like a few $100s cheaper. The problem is also, once I started looking into it after you told me, is that the maintenance on those cards isn't as easy. They like, and then I started reading, and people would run into occasional driver issues where it wasn't just updating your drivers, it was something else. And then apparently there's some sort of a thing that is common with AMD cards that you have to fix every once in a while. I can't remember what it was, but it's like for somebody like me who, I can, with instruction, I can do I can, troubleshoot with instruction and stuff. I mean, slow mo, you walked me through quite a few things until I got everything smooth. But like, I want to make this as streamlined, as smooth as possible. And as much as I hate the way AMD is feeling, or Nvidia is feeling themselves, the fact of the matter is, when it's time for a driver update, I go to Nvidia's site. Like, I literally have the shortcut on my desktop. I click it, go on, driver update. I click it, it takes roughly about maybe 2 minutes, and I'm good. And I'm off to the races. You know what I mean? They notify me when I need it. I have had zero problems with my GPU at all. It's easy to use. And I mean, there's something to be said about that too. A lot of people who want to build these PCs, they're cool with tinkering. You know what I mean? Like, we're cool with tinkering, but we don't want to be, like running into problems like every, couple of months or something. I've had
Mhm.
Actually, now that I think about it, this is my 1 year anniversary for building my PC this month. I get to spend it with you guys. But I've had my PC for a year and I have had no hardware issues.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that plays a big part in it as well.
Yeah, I guess and yeah, shout out to Burke in the chat. Their drivers have been much better. My son, I have a 6650 XT in my son's PC, and when I first built his PC, I actually had an Intel Arc. What is it? The 8750, I think it's called. I had that in there, and the drivers were so bad that almost none of the games my son played would either launch or play at any kind of where near like the level of quality that it was supposed to be. This is a $250 GPU, so I was just like, nah, look. I went back to Best Buy. That 6650 XT was on sale for like $35 more than what the Intel card was. I bought them that. Only had two issues with their drivers where I had to roll back the driver install. But otherwise it's fine. And the Adrenaline software is pretty good. It gets the job done. Um the um recording quality is nowhere near what the Nvidia app and Shadowplay do. But it's not really about like AMD wants to try to be on par with Nvidia with the things that Nvidia does, and that's fine. You should be trying to also have equivalent features when you're competing against someone else, but you got to do more than that. You have to create things that your competition hasn't even thought of or is currently doing and force them to have to step up to where you are to make their equivalent of what you have. They're just not they're just
Always
not
playing
there,
catch
you
up.
know? Yeah, they're always playing catch up and they're never trying to be they're always on the defensive and they're never on the offensive. And they gotta change that.
Mm.
And I mean, I would like nothing more than for that to happen, because if AMD showed up tomorrow and they had and they said, you know what, we were lying. We're going into the high end market, and they had something that was close to or as good as say a 5090, and it was
Hmm.
like $300-400 cheaper, and it was just as easy to use as Nvidia, and the ray tracing was on point, and it could do everything the Nvidia if it could at least do everything Nvidia did as well as Nvidia did. I have no loyalties. I have zero loyalties. I'm team green only because Nvidia makes the better GPU, but I will be team red in a heartbeat if AMD came as strong as Nvidia did. And I think most people, who aren't like, just zealots that just have, these loyalties for some reason, most people would shift as well. And I think you made a really good point when you said, why don't they try and poach some of the people from Nvidia, pay them whatever they want, give them whatever they want, and get some of that market share back? I mean,
Yeah,
I
you
don't,
gotta get out of this rut. You can't just keep doing the same
yeah.
thing every generation and expecting something different. And I don't think I understand from a business standpoint, no longer making high-end GPUs when they're very expensive to develop. You're spending a lot of money in research and development for it. You're putting it out there on the market, and it's those are where you really not selling compared to Nvidia, because you look at like the flagship Nvidia card, and then you compare it with all its features to the flagship AMD card, and it's not close. Where Nvidia always is competitive is in the middle to low end range of GPUs. And I get deciding, well, we just ain't gonna do it no more then. We just not gonna we just won't do high end. We'll just do where we're competitive. But that's just it's loser energy.
Mm,
Like there's
Yep.
you could be more competitive, but you refuse to do the things that will make you more competitive, which is creating features that your competition doesn't have. You do that with Intel in the CPU market. So why won't you do that over here? It's just I get if you don't have the people for it, the engineers for it, go get them. Because I'm very positive that paying them whatever they want to get them on your side and develop for you is cheaper than creating GPUs that are just trying to do the watered down version and features than their NVIDIA equivalents. But
mm.
I didn't want to talk about this forever. We can go in circles with this for a long time. For us,
Yeah. Yeah.
what's the next on the docket, man?
Yeah, next on drop it. Well, just to say, my last AMD card was a Radeon HD 7970. That was in 2012. And I played it on I was playing Star Wars, The Old Republic, the MMO. And my what ended up making me switch over to Nvidia was the fact that I was having this is my younger years in PC, so I troubleshooted everything. I changed first thing I did was change out my motherboard, no, my graphics card, because I was having like a lot of screen tearing and like a whole bunch of just weird stuff happening. So I thought it was my GPU, changed my GPU, wasn't my GPU. I ended up going to a Nvidia 680 back then. Wasn't my thing. So then I was like, okay, well maybe it was the CPU. Changed the CPU out. I was all AMD back then too. Changed the CPU out. It came to find out it was my motherboard. So that was like the first time that I did a completely rebuild of my whole PC, like back in 2011, 2012. And ever since then, that's when I ended up with my 680. I ended up with my 8700K and my graphics card, my motherboard to go with it. And ever since then, it's just Nvidia. Just been, I mean, AMD just hasn't been living up. So I just kind of stayed Nvidia. But I don't have a color when it comes to PC. I rather pay less, but I'm not going to pay less to not have good performance. But yeah, that's a whole nother thing. So let's turn this over to the last topic. We're talking about so much stuff, so much stuff. Halo Infinite. Now we could tackle this from so many places. We could tackle the point that Halo Infinite is the 343 is no more when it comes to studio names. It is the Halo Studios now. We could talk about the fact that third person is coming to Halo Infinite later next year. We could also talk about the fact that they're switching over the Halo engine to Unreal 5 and they're doing away with slit space altogether. We can talk about a bunch of things. So, Ramon, I'm gonna come to you first, man. I'm gonna let you. What thing that happened this week in Halo do you want to talk about first? Did
Ramon,
Ramon? Did Ramon leave us? He left us.
or
Slow.
maybe I need to call him by his other name.
Oh Lord.
Sorry, let me not do that.
All right. Well, slow mo. Which one of
Yeah,
these multiple things that's happened with Halo over the week do you want to talk about first?
let's talk about the name change.
All right. Let's talk about the name change.
So 343 Industries has changed their name to Halo Studios, which I would say is a good move. The name 343, you know, for those who actually know what it means, is derived from the character in Halo lore, and also not just lore, because this character is in Halo 1, 2, and 3. If you don't know, therefore, if you didn't know, you probably didn't play Halo. Um, but it's based off of 343 Guilty Spark, the construct that is the custodian or the monitor of the Halo installation when you first introduced to him in Halo Combat Evolved. Um,
Hated that robot.
some people didn't know that. Some Halo
Some
fans
very,
did not know
very
what 343 stood for.
passionate Xbox slash Halo fan in particular that didn't know
Yeah,
this.
interesting. Anyway, I the name is kind of synonymous with like not delivering with Halo. It was always something. It was the launch of the Master Chief Collection. Um it was Halo 4's multiplayer. It was Halo Guardians campaign. It was Halo Infinite not having content and not having features that they promised would be there. And you just 343 is just kind of synonymous with disappointment. So I thought it was smart on their end to decide to go a different route, different name, Halo Studios. We make Halo. So, you know, for a while there was this talk that, hey, let 343 do something different. Let them make something different. No, they're here to make Halo. And I think that doesn't guarantee that Halo Studios is going to make great Halo games. Why are you just running a hidden Xperia video?
No, I was trying to figure out where my video was, and I found it though. So it's the what's the name video. But go ahead.
All right. I just think that that's a good move on their part to kind of switch things up, so that it doesn't mean like the people who made the previous games aren't there anymore. So even though a significant number of them aren't there anymore, but it's kind of signaling a new direction for the studio, and I think that's a good thing. And about that new direction, I think it's kind of high time that Halo Studios just make their own Halo. Like, yes, you want to have some aspects of it that are the foundations of Halo, but you're not Bungie. Bungie of old isn't even Bungie. And you can't keep trying to compete with this ghost of the past that is in the nostalgia that Halo fans have built up in their minds of what Halo should be. They're not making the game. You're making the game. Make your Halo game and make sure everyone's on the same page when you make it. And if you do it well, and if you execute on it well, forget what they say. They'll say, I'm never going back to Halo again. This ain't my Halo, yada, yada, yada. Those people who say those things are usually the first ones playing your game. They may claim they're not coming back, they are. But you need to be making a current game that will appeal to more than just guys that are 45 years old. And so, yeah, change the studio's name, change a lot of stuff, but make sure whatever you make, you are all on the same page making it. And if it's good, people will play it.
Hmm.
Now, Ramon, what are your thoughts about this, man?
I think that the rebrand is a good thing. I mean, like even if it is like, more or less the same studio, they do have new management. And they got rid of Mrs. Bonobo, so that's a good thing. Um I think that it absolutely was necessary because 343, although it was a good nod to, a character in the game for naming the studio, that studio's name is now extremely tainted. So changing it to Halo, what is it? Halo Studios. Um,
Yeah.
well, one, it pretty much tells you what they're going to be doing and most likely all of what they're going to be doing, which, as long as the team is okay with that, that's fine. So it's a nice rebrand. They have an opportunity to wipe the slate clean and start fresh. A reboot would be a good idea because then they can bring some of the old from the story, but then bring in a lot of the new, like the new mechanics and appealing to, new gamers coming in as well. And just like you said, like all the people complaining about, this, that, and another, they're gonna be buying it. They're gonna be playing it, especially if the game is good. If the game is good, they're gonna be there and they'll complain in public while they spending money. Um Going with Unreal Engine 5 versus Slipspace. I mean, I don't know, I don't know how easy or difficult Slipspace was to use. I know it's it seems like typically, well, I guess Xbox approaches it differently because I know with other studios, they have their own engine that is signature to their games, and it's kind of like, you can see it. Like for instance, like when I was saying before we started, like with Decima, no game looks like a Decima game, and Decima looks amazing. And it's signature to Gorilla and also Kojima, Hideo Kojima. Um, but going away from their in-house engine to UE5 is an interesting move. So I'm hopeful that that'll work out for them. You know, but it's UE5 has been difficult to make behave. So hopefully they can make it behave properly and it'll run well. So I'm really curious to see how this turns out. The only way I'll be playing the next Halo is if the Flood is not in it. So I'm not a fan of the Flood, not for quality reasons. I just don't like horror, and I can't stand zombies. So I played the original Halos when I originally had my Series X before I sold it, and I thought the games were awesome, but the Flood stressed me out. So um, if the Flood is not in the next game and it's a good game, then I will absolutely be there. But if the Flood is there, I will most likely be skipping it. But I'm very curious and hopeful to see how this turns out.
You are
Or
afraid. You are afraid of the flood. The flood creeped you out, huh?
You can say that, and you would be 100% correct. Yes,
Oh man.
dude. I don't do horror. Like, let me tell you, I've probably
That's
told this
like the
story. When I
smallest bit
played
of
Bioshock One, when you go into that dark area in the water, I
uh-huh.
was literally had my back against the wall, strafing the entire room with my back against the wall, making my way to that light where you could see that silhouette. My eyes were bugged out in my in my face. So whenever I enter scary situations in a game, that's why I couldn't stream a scary game because I'd be boring as hell because I'd literally have my back against the wall, strafing the wall extremely slowly while looking left and right to make sure nothing sneaks up on me. So
Hmm.
yes, I don't do horror for a very good reason.
No, you're good. I'm just
So
messing around. Yeah, for
oh
me,
no, no, I openly admit it.
mm, nothing wrong with that. For me, talk about just the name change in general. At first, I was a little sad because it it was like the one thing that was like significant enough to Halo where I felt like, oh, 343 industry, 343 guilty spark. They're just trying to keep keep that alive and stuff. And after a while of thinking about it, I was like, yeah, but 343 is like gutter in the name. As much as nice to keep the name and everything, it would just like we said, they needed to get away from the name Halo Infinite. They needed to get away from 343. It's unfortunate that they ruined such a great name because that name is awesome for a studio. Um, but it needed to be done. Halo Studios, I mean, we always talked about what could happen if they branched off and did something different. Cause we talked about that like with the coalition making stuff other than Gears of War. But it looks like, when it comes to the Halo studio, that's what it's going to be going forward. So at one point it makes it feels good to know that they're not really truly abandoning it to the point where it might become a big focus with inside of the studio again, or not the studio, but inside of Xbox and inside of Microsoft. Because I felt like over the course of this last generation, Halo was like, kind of an afterthought outside of just being able to celebrate milestones that the game achieved over the course of the last generation. It didn't feel like it was a lot of care put into it, like they do most other things that they have. So I'm happy to see that they're making a move like this. It's just kind of sucks that they had to like undo, do without the name anymore. But I kind of understand why they're doing it, and I kind of actually am happy that they're doing it because this is a good chance for Halo to kind of rebrand itself into a way where all of the things that we knew of it are completely different. Even knowing it's still the same people outside of a couple of bad actors that were there before that will you know not hurt the game going forward. So with that being said, so what's the next thing? So we talked about the name change. Ramon, I called you out earlier. You weren't there. So I'm gonna ask you. So we had other things that happened this week around Halo, talking about the move over to Unreal Engine. We also could talk about the fact that the game has third person in it. So we already knocked out one of them. So between third person and the engine change, which one you want to tackle, sir?
Third person.
Let's do it. So,
I,
so what do you think about it?
I um like I'm of two minds. My personal preference, I like third person more. First person, however, is synonymous with Halo. Um, Changing things up and shaking things up is good, and it's at this point necessary. They need to do that. But there, I think there are more cases against quality than for it when you have the option. Like usually if there's an option between first and third person, one typically works better than the other, or they're both kind of like mediocre. So it's usually when it's committed to one perspective that it seems uh better quality experience, I guess for lack of a better way to put it. But usually if there's an option between first and third, a lot of times it seems like one or both suffer. That said, if they could nail both, I think that would be amazing because I mean, I'll play a game in first person and I have no problem with it, but my preference is third person. So I mean, they could very well attract even more people to the franchise if they made it an option. So I think if they can stick the landing on that, that would be a great thing.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Plus, I
do
mean,
think that. Oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry. No, I was gonna say plus if they stick with the customizing your, Spartan thing, well, I think that's probably well, depending on where they go with the story and everything. But as far as multiplayer goes, if you're customizing your Spartan and everything, and you're putting all these, your own like flavor to it and everything, but then you only see it in the replays, or if you're doing like a special attack where the camera zooms back. Like, it would be nice if you're gonna do all these cool things and customize your Spartan that you actually get to see it.
Hmm. Yeah, I think them putting third person in Halo Infinite was really an indication of like the direction. Not saying that like they're going to do a nothing but third person perspective game in the future, but they're open to not just doing what Halo is known for. Like open to trying to do different things that attract different kinds of gamers. Or Fortnite is in third person perspective, and Fortnite, one of the most popular games in the world. I'm not saying they're trying to copy Fortnite, but there are people like you said, Ramon. You prefer third person over first person. There are people who prefer to play games that way, and I think there's nothing wrong with going out there and providing an option and seeing how that plays out. Like even with Call of Duty, with Modern Warfare 2, yeah, with Modern Warfare 2, they created a third person mode in that game, and they had a whole third person playlist where you could. They didn't have it where people could be playing in third person against people that could be playing in first person, but they had it in their own separate lobbies. And I tried it; it was all right. Um, You gotta do it good though. And I think Call of Duty's attempt was okay, but it wasn't like excellent, and that's part of the reason why it didn't really work out. Like Activision will try new things. They tried DMZ mode, which was their version of an extraction shooting kind of mode, and that didn't work out. But they also tried Warzone, which is their battle royale, and that's now the most popular mode in Call of Duty. So you have to always be taking chances. You have to always be trying to reinvent yourself because the most popular live service games that are out there, they don't stick to one thing and one thing only. Right now, if you play Fortnite right now, you will be getting Iron Man's Unibeam, his gloves to shoot energy out of, his boots to fly. You're getting Captain America's shield. You're getting Black Panther's claws. They got a whole Marvel theme thing going on around the MCU, and it's completely different than what Fortnite was 2 months ago. 2 months ago, they had a whole car meta thing going on where you're able to like add attachments to your car when you're on the map, and then use that to kind of try to like get a leg up on the enemies. They are constantly reinventing what Fortnite plays like, and that keeps people engaged. In addition to the other aspect of the third person perspective that I thought is important, being able to see what you're paying for. It it it's when you price things in your store and you're like, hey, 10, 15, $20 for this armor. But the people who get the biggest benefit out of the armor that I spent money on are the people I'm killing. It's not me, because I can't see myself in first person perspective. Giving people the option to be able to see what they pay for is important, because then they'll feel more inclined to pay for more things they think are cool in your store. Why? Because they'll see them more than just at the main menu screen as they're going into another match. And so, you kind of combine those two things, and It's just, it's a smart move on their part, in my opinion. Does it mean it's going to work out? Does it mean everyone's going to enjoy it? More than likely, vast majority of people playing Halo Infinite are not going to play this third person mode. They may try it out one time and never try it again. But it is the willingness to do things that are different and to kind of break the mode that I like seeing. Forte?
Hmm.
That might be a good indication of them being flexible to pivot. Just like you said, I mean, all of this shows a flexibility that I think is really a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, what you just said is like the biggest point for third person, being able, the ability to be able to see what you buy. And you're also right about the fact the only time you see your character is at the start screen, the end screen, or when you're dying to another person, which is crazy. Like I can only see myself dying when I fall to the ground and evaporate into like little particles, which doesn't help the fact. So I'm of two minds of this. The Halo purist in me says, what the heck? Third person, that's what we got Gears of War for. But I also gotta understand that Halo is like a dinosaur at this point. Something has to change. Even if, as long as they have the option for first person in there, that's all people should really care about. Because third person, I do believe that a third person version of Halo would definitely help bring people in, because it would be something different, a completely new way of playing the game. Um, a lot of the stuff is already built in the game to be in third person. Certain weapons that you carry and stuff like that are already coded for third person. I could just imagine what an energy sword being in third person, what that would look like. So I think the decision to do that is kind of something they should have, maybe they were already thinking about it. Maybe that was something that was being brought to light when the whole what is it called? The whole battle royale thing was going around. There's been rumors that, certain Affinity came to them and showed them a build of what Halo would be in third person. And a lot of people at 343 were like, yeah, that looks really good. Why the heck haven't we done that? And but they were already so deep into development on Halo Infinite, it just seemed like they were that it was something that they were going to probably do with the next game. And that's something we can talk about later, like how, well, not even talk about later, like how Halo Infinite 2 was coming and it's been canceled and everything. So there's a lot of different things that's kind of happening around that, but I don't see this as a negative. I see it only as a positive for the people that want it, because it's still going to be the Halo you want it to be if you want it to be that way. But this is a good way to get more and more people into the shoot to be able to try the game. Now, I'll start with the whole, engine change. Uh this just signals to me that the one thing that I thought would never happen is going to happen at some point. This game is going to end up on other platforms other than PC, because Unreal Engine 5, and even if they weren't doing this, I would still say it's a good change, because unfortunately they haven't worked well when it comes to their own, engine, proprietary engine, plus with all of the different stipulations that Microsoft has on it, with 18 months of, being able to, work on projects and stuff at Microsoft before they had to get switched out. I think being switched over, and they need to just abolish that altogether. But if they're not, Unreal 5 is probably the best engine to work on, because anybody that comes in and out of it can pretty much work in that and not have an issue. They just got to get used to the tools that you use, but there's not like this huge learning curve to like learn a new engine that you never worked in before, because you haven't been with the company longer than most people. So I think that's a good move. But this just signals to me that these games are going to, other platforms like PlayStation. Unfortunately, I thought Halo would be the one that holds itself out, and it still could. But the fact that they're making these changes, it makes it easier to develop across multiple platforms and stuff like that. that's kind of the thing that kind of rang to me the most when I heard that they were switching over. Because like Satya wants to see these games in more places. He wants to go where the gamers are. So that means he's going to put his flagship games where the gamers are. Now, will they come day and date? Most likely not, but they'll come at some point. But it's a good change that they're making because I just think it's going to make it better for people that aren't on these contracts for 18 months to be able to still work on this game and not suffer as much as it's suffered in the past because of development woes and stuff like that. So that's what I think about it. What about you, Slomo?
Um, yeah. I mean, we heard they were going to Unreal Engine 5, like 2 years ago. And there was a lot of those rumors that are out there, and a lot of people didn't believe it. But I mean, from the people that told me that that they're normally pretty solid about those kind of things. So I was already kind of like on the mindset that this was a done deal. Does this make multi-platform development much easier for them? Absolutely. If they decide to put Halo in the future Halos on, not about to say Call of Duty on PlayStation, this makes it a far easier endeavor to get that done. That said, I think this is also a bigger thing about them developing it. And I thought that what was really telling is when one of their developers said, we've been a studio that has been about creating games and creating technology at the same time. And now we can just focus on creating games. We all have strengths and weaknesses. Studios, companies have strengths and weaknesses. 343's weakness was their game engine. They've been using the Blam engine, which was developed by Bungie a long time ago. They never really they would do updates to it, but it was at its core in its foundation still the Blam engine. And they try to create Slipspace, but Slipspace, like very much like Frostbite with EA, Slipspace was not up to the task that they needed. The most basic foundation of what you need from a game engine, that the collection of tools that you call your game engine, is the fact that it should be easy for you to create content with. It should be not easy, but it should not be a hindrance in you trying to create enough content to reach your milestones, to make deadlines, to get content out on a consistent basis, especially now where if you're doing multiplayer games, the vast majority of those games are live service. With Halo Infinite, they wanted it to be live service. You can't have a live service game and you can't make content on time. The cadence of maps being released for Halo Infinite was far lower than what it's been for previous Halo games. That's because of Slipspace, partially because of Slipspace. The the um the desync issues in combat where you're shooting somebody in the head and it's not registering, and you go look at the replay, which comes from 343 servers, and it doesn't even show you shooting your gun. Like, these issues were engine wide issues that they just they took forever to fix, and it's just now you don't have to worry about that. And now you can worry about adapting the tools that you have that you create Halo with to Unreal Engine, and you let Epic deal with all the other things that you need. You tell them what you need and they will do it, and they will create potentially in the next update or some update down the road what you're looking for. People had an issue with Unreal Engine 4 with partitioning, in difficulty in doing open world environments. Epic and Unreal Engine 5 resolved that. And maybe by the time they get around to releasing a Halo game in Unreal Engine 5, the engine would be far enough along where it won't have the issues that other developers have had with Unreal Engine since this generation began. So I just think it was a smart move on their part. I think Pierre Heinz, the studio head, has made some good moves so far. Doesn't guarantee that the games are going to be fantastic or anything, but You can't look at these moves and say, "Oh, well, that was a mistake," when we know how bad Slip Space Engine was. Though it's not, and rightfully so. This does kind of help them, even though I think they need to stop being so cheap, Xbox in general, and allow the studio to hire on all those contractors that were in so many pivotal roles. Just hire them on as full-time developers. If you have a statewide mandate that you can't have contractors working for more than 15 months without having a 6-month cooldown. They hire their own full time. What are you doing? Spend money. You can't make money without spending money. But this somewhat resolves that, because you don't need to bring someone in, then teach them your game engine, then teach them, to get them up to speed on what we're working on. And by the time you do all those things, they're halfway through their contract. Now you don't have to worry about that. They're coming in a portion of the work that you need to get them up to speed with the game engine. You're hiring people who have been working on with Unreal Engine in multiple games. They're good. So I think that's all I gotta say about that. Forte.
I'm here. I'm just saying. What about you, Ramon?
Um, I mean, it's pretty much. I couldn't put it any more eloquently. I think it's like I can't really see any bad about this at all. I mean, every move that they've made, I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's cool. You know, thinking about the multi-platform environment, moving to Unreal makes sense because it's on, for obvious reasons. Um, Potentially a third person option. Like it just looks like they're looking at options that, you know, can keep, the base that they have. Like, the number one rule is you want to keep the people you have and entice new people. So, it looks like they're making moves to keep the people they have, even the ones that are going to talk smack and then still play it anyway, but then enticing new people as well. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it all looks like they're trying to pivot in the right direction. I mean, and as you said, slow mo, we don't know until we know, but all indicators right now look pretty positive. So, I'm for the first time in a while, I'm actually curious to see, you know, how this is going to turn out. Like, are they going to reboot it, or are they going to continue on? Like, how are they going to do it? But I mean, everything seems really cool right now from based on what we've seen, what we've heard. So the Halo in Unreal Engine 5 is going to be interesting to see. Like if they can wrestle that thing down and get it working properly, which few studios have been able to do, if any. uh I think that'll be an achievement in itself. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how it turns out. But I definitely have feel good about it though.
Yeah, I think that's the growing point. Halo has just been one of those games that a lot of people grew up on, and they have such fond memories of. It just sucks to always see it seen in the light that it's in. And they tried 343's tried different things over the course of the years, and it just some of it stick, some of it didn't. Multiplayer stuck on one, single player didn't stick. I felt like to this day, I still feel like Guardians was probably the best overall package altogether. It just, had misinformation when it came to like how the campaign was being portrayed. But I enjoyed the campaign on that game. I just didn't like the way that they portrayed it. But the multiplayer was solid. And it's solid in Infinite too. But I just think of just the overall rollout of Infinite was just terrible, and the way they went about getting the game up to speed should have just been more mindful, knowing that people will play the game at first, but once they find out that it's issues with the game or they get bored with the game, you're not really going to bring the majority of those people back when you fix it. I mean, we saw this with multiple games like Redfall. We saw that with Starfield. A lot of people just didn't come back. They looked at other people's reviews and they saw it as like, yeah, I'm good. And that's the thing that Microsoft's fighting at this point with Xbox and all of these games. It's like, what do we have to do to change them to be good enough for people to want to, indulge in them for not just the initial time that they play them, but going forward in the future. So that's what I think this move for Halo is. Just let's literally just rip the band-aid off and rebrand everything. We're still gonna have Halo, but a new studio called Halo Studios. People that grow up won't know about the stigma of 343 because over time, especially if the games are good, over time that name will just fade away into darkness, and people will just forget that Halo was just always a kind of so-so game over the course of the last couple of revisions that they put out. So, but first of all, I want to thank everybody in the chat. You guys have been amazing. Shout out to all of our supporters. Thank you for always being who you are, and all the love. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on the channel. Definitely trying to grow this thing to 500 so we can get back to giving back to you guys as quickly as we possibly can. And with that, I want to say thank you to our special guest, the homie, the man, the myth, the other legend, Ramon Terrell. I will not call him by one of these other the Detective Gadget names that Slow-Mo's calling him, but we appreciate you.
These are the names that he has had.
He don't remember
over the
none of them.
years.
He don't remember any of them, which is probably worse. but thank you, Ramon, for coming through and hanging out with us once again overnight. And where can people find you and what you got going on with yourself?
Well, first, thanks for having me as always. It's always a pleasure anytime you guys want to have me on, just say the word. If I can make it, I'll be here. Love the show, love you guys.
Appreciate it.
And yeah, no doubt. Catch me on Twitter. I mean, I'm not super active on Twitter. I mean, I lurk more than anything because it's just a kind of a cesspool. But Ramon _Terrell on Twitter, Ramon Terrell, Facebook if you use that. And yeah, I'll just be around throwing out a comment here and there. Um, just playing my games, working on a book. And yeah, if you're going to do Dragonsteel 2024, if you're a Brandon Sanderson fan, I will be there selling books. Otherwise, yeah, play your games, enjoy your games. Remember that we are blessed to be able to play these games. We have a house with electricity and games to play. So, instead of arguing and all that, let's just enjoy what we got and count our blessings and just have fun because that's what this is here for at the end of the day. And that's my soapbox. Guys, have a good evening. Enjoy your fun.
Forte, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I was literally saying my thing and I had muted myself. But yeah, with that being said, the man, the myth, the legend, the man of many slaps, the man that gave us so much entertaining, fun and enjoyment over the course of the week and a half of him playing Until Dawn. Slow-mo backslap. Where can they find you? What's going
It was
on
the
with
weekend.
you? I said
It was
over
just the weekend.
was it just the weekend?
Yeah, it was 3 days.
It felt
Yeah.
like it felt like it was over a week.
That's not good. But all right,
He
no.
Well, no, I thought you started last, so you did it over last weekend. I thought you did it like over the okay, never mind. But tell everybody what you got going on, and please tell us what the next game you're going to stream is and what kind of genre it's going to be in.
I will probably stream Slay the Princess maybe tomorrow, maybe Saturday. I'll shoot for tomorrow. We'll see what happens, and I will consider some of these suggestions. I need to figure out, if I really want to spend money on a game that I know I'm not going to like,
You do.
just so you guys can enjoy me jumping around every corner. We'll see what happens, though. More than likely, I'll do it. I just don't know which game so far. Maybe I'm thinking either between Alien Isolation and Silent Hill 2. So we'll see what happens.
All right, cool. Well, we're definitely looking forward to that. And with that being said, like I said, hit the like button, guys. We appreciate you guys always. And we will see you guys for episode 200 on next week on the channel. So with that, we'll talk to you guys later. Have a good
Awesome.
weekend. Peace.
Oh, one more thing. One more thing.
Oh,
One
go
more
ahead.
thing.
Yeah, one more thing. Go.
Buy Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2
my
remastered.
God.
on your
No,
favorite
my
platform.
gosh. Look,
No.
bye. Good night. See you guys
No,
next week.
nobody's playing a game that looks like it still can play on an N64.